Hi, my name is Angelica, and thank you for watching Talk About It Tuesday with Kevin Reome. Hi, Kevin.
Hi,
How you
I'm in
doing
my
today?
basement. It's a beautiful day out, but I'm in my basement.
Oh, wow. All right. So, Kevin has about 30 years of experience performing and having fun on stage with improv. So, Kevin, where did you get started?
Everything is built on something. Like I took a high school acting class, and then I was in college and I took an improv class just for fun because a teacher said, "Oh, you should take an improv class." So I did. All those little building blocks then make it easier to, once I graduate college and I move to Chicago and I see Second City, um, though I was terrified, I made myself go and sign up for classes. And, this is back in the day when I had to walk there and I had to give them a check at the little box office. What's kind of cool is that the front of Second City and the stairs that go up to the main stage are all the same. Like, it looks like it did then, and I'm sure it's looked like that for as long as it's open. So anytime I'm on those stairs, I'm like, oh, I remember the anxiety of going up these stairs and giving that person a check, and then it's. I think a lot of people do this. Once you are in your improv classes and you have your people, like, now you're part of the culture and the community. It is your life. And at that point, being brand new to Chicago, that was ideal because I had zero friends when I moved there. And then, cut to just a year later, and just now I have like this whole community. I used to think of it as a release valve, as just like, I take these classes so I don't go crazy, and in fact, a friend of mine always said, like, oh, it's the cheapest form of therapy I can find. But I didn't put a lot of pressure on myself to like make it. I was just like, just day to day, just keep doing it. And the rule was, for me, if it ever starts becoming a drag, if I'm getting depressed about it, or if it's just weighing me down, or I'm dreading going to something, I'm out. Like, I don't have to be in this. I don't need that. But that never happened.
Were you doing anything for work, or were you doing anything in adjacent to?
Moved to Chicago. I had just finished student teaching. So that was my degree, is secondary ed. Wow. And student teaching was a grind. It was really hard. And so all I wanted to do is partay, and that's all I did. So once I moved to Chicago, I was waiting tables and bartending, and then that didn't last so long. I think I did that for about 9 or 10 months before I got myself employed as a teacher. And so then that became my day job, and improv at night. Which what was great about the counterbalance was that I say this about improv all the time, in that improv was like this crazy escape. And between the drive from work to home to then go to a rehearsal, that car was like my phone booth, in that I was Clark Kent, and then I was making this transformation to be Superman at night. And my students couldn't believe that I did improv because I was too lame. And then my improv friends were like, "You're a teacher? There's no way, you should be arrested." Because I was just too crazy then. Like, it was cool to just have that dichotomy of being.
So you had your beginning and you were scared, but eventually you spread out. You've worked with UCB, IO, Second City, which you still work with. How would you say the styles are different, or do you feel there's a large difference in styles?
With Second City, and this has evolved, but Second City is about teaching scene work. Why? Because they are trying to derive material to write sketches from, or, you know, to be sketches for a review. IO is now long form. And so maybe they go a little bit slower into scenes as opposed to playing a game where, you know, you got to you know, get after it quick. But I also found that UCB, which, you know, is born out of IO, they play really quick. They get to the goods of the scene immediately. I find that hard to do. I find that hard to keep up with. I think people have different styles, and for those that can think that quickly, and like I can do a little of it. In fact, I remember doing a show where it's like, oh, I got a couple of these under my, or, you know, in my holster, if you will. And then once we're like halfway into the show, I'm like, I'm out. I don't have any more great ideas to, you know, start a scene with. I need to rely on just being a little bit more organic and play slow and discover things, as opposed to boom, 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 boom. Here's the whole scene. Done, you know?
And you're doing Wisecracking now. So do you find that it's difficult to do that virtual improv show?
It's different. Well, first of all, Wisecracking is more of a game show. You're basically playing apples to apples, but you're coming up with the suggestions and then other people vote on them. Your question, I've done a few shows, like a jam sandwich through Second City, where it is long form improv in the boxes, in the Brady Bunch boxes. I think it's fun to do. Is it fun to watch? I don't know. It kind of seems like, hey, Angelica, I really enjoy playing tennis. You should come watch me play. I'm getting good at it.
Uh-huh.
There are some really riveting points. You would really be entertained. And you go like, I would? you know, I mean, I don't think it's terrible, but it certainly isn't the live theater. Obviously, it's what we can do right now. But when we can get back in theaters, bye-bye. It's still fun to do. I'm not unique in this, but I like challenging the format of it and doing a lot of object work. When I do the Reome ring, where I'm inviting improvisers whom I love and don't always get to play with, and I know I just know their level of game. Those shows are unbelievable because you have other people who are also playing slow and setting you up and patient. So I dig that. That's my recent thing is all about patience in scenes. Yes.
So do you have a favorite form? Is there a game or some kind of bit that you like to do?
I definitely like long form. I like when long form has a form. Like there's the movie, right? The movie is a long form. It is you're acting like you're doing a movie where everyone is the director and jumping in. Like that is really, really fun. It's hard because it gets a little bit wonky with all the details and the logic, and it has to fit together and make sense. There has to be a lot of good listening. Everybody has to be on board. So it's hard, but man, when that works, that is phenomenal. But in short form, there's a lot of games that I like. I think something I'm good at is saying random things off the top of my head. So I definitely like take that back or new phrase. I love being able to just say random stuff in there and then have to deal with whatever that reality is in the rest of the scene. So that is one of my faves.
So before we go, two things. First thing, the way we usually end is by talking about what there is about you that someone might not be able to tell about you just by looking at you.
I'm omniscient. I can read
Explain
all of
that.
your minds. No, I actually said that in a job interview.
And did you get the job, or were
No.
they scared of you?
Hell no. Improv wise, everybody knows that, I think. But, you know, there is a definite double life I still lead, you know, here in the leafy suburbs of Glenview. You know, and I hang out with neighborhood people, and I don't let a lot of that bleed into my improv, nor my improv into that. Every once in a while, there's a little mixture. We did had some improvisers do a show at a local brewery, and pretty much the whole audience were my friends. And so that was, and you know, friends that had never seen me do improv, and just go like, so how do you teach improv? Those type of people. There's a lot to teach in improv, obviously, and reps matter, and you can get better. It's not a matter of you either have it or you don't. It's like anything. It's like any sport.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know, I mean, yes, there are going to be some people, you know, like a Robin Williams is predisposed, is gifted, and just has it. He still has to work. He still has to work at his craft.
And Kevin, before we leave, is there anything that's coming up for you that you'd like to promote or talk about?
So yeah, I'm doing that Wisecracking. That's fun. What's cool about that is that you can tune in, you can watch it. What I think is a little bit better about it than just watching a regular improv performance is that you get to vote. So a question will come up there. The comedians will write their answers. They will come up on the screen anonymously. You won't know who wrote what. And as an audience member, you'll just click and go like, I'm voting for that one. And what I'm saying is, as opposed to just sitting there and watching, you're actually active and getting to voice your support or whatever. Yeah. As much as I've said bad about online long form, I do want to do a Reome ring and keep it to maybe 5, me and 4 other improvisers. Again, people who I know are great, and just to force myself to do stuff. Thinking that way, I'm like, hey man, who cares what it's like? Do improv online, and if it's only for you, fine. If 2 people watch it, who cares? You know, like we'll at least have fun doing it, and it'll keep us in practice. Improv is love. Improv is real. Improv is no, but it is life. It is, you know, like all the things you do in improv are the things you're supposed to do with people. Listening to them, supporting them. You know,
a really great thing.
Yeah. I have one last quick story. I know we're way over budget. There was a student of mine, I think it was in like the 2nd class I ever taught at Second City, and he and the class asked for like evaluations, and I wrote them out. I wrote them like, hey, this is what you're doing really well, here's what you can work on. Maybe 2 years after that time, he emailed me and said, like, I don't know if you know me or remember me, but I'm not in improv anymore. I don't even live in Chicago anymore. But your evaluation I held on to because a lot of the things that you said I should work on were germane to my life. And sometimes I don't listen so well. Sometimes I do bully people on a stage, but like he's like relating that to his life. He goes, those little tips have helped me be a better person. And I'm like,
incredible.
That's what I'm talking about. Because it does do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When's the last time you met a really good improviser who was just an asshole? It's
hard.
It's hard to find.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for joining me today and taking time out of your quarantine time. And this has been Talk About It Tuesday with Kevin Reome. My name is Angelica, and this is Improv. Bye, everyone.